In the bustling city of Lagos, Mr. James Carter, a successful businessman and single father, struggled to balance his demanding job with raising his 8-year-old daughter, Olivia. Ever since his wife passed away when Olivia was 6, his home had been a revolving door of nannies who quit one after another, unable to handle the little girl's stubborn streak. Olivia, smart and quick-witted, had learned to keep her distance from the adults she felt would eventually leave her. James felt the weight of his daughter's loneliness but couldn't seem to find the right person to help mend their fractured lives. One early morning, with the sun barely peeking through the Lagos skyline, James was preparing for the most important meeting of his career. A multi-million-dollar contract with a foreign investor was at stake, and he couldn't afford to be late. But as fate would have it, the nanny he trusted, the last in a long line of them, left a hasty note by the door and disappeared without a word. Panic threatened to swallow him as he realized he couldn't leave Olivia alone. He was about to call his sister for help when he heard a soft knock at the gate. Emma, a young orphan girl with hopeful eyes and a quiet strength, stood there with nothing but a small bag slung over her shoulder. She was there hoping for a job opening in the area, and though she had no experience, she was desperate to find work. James hesitated, looking at her worn-out shoes and the determined look in her eyes. Something about her gentle manner and steady gaze gave him pause. He decided to take a risk, offering her the job on the spot, praying she wouldn't leave as the others had. At first, Olivia met Emma's arrival with the same icy indifference she had shown every other nanny. She tested Emma with defiance, refusing to eat the meals Emma cooked and locking herself in her room. But Emma, patient and understanding, didn't give up. She didn't scold or bribe. Instead, she found small ways to connect. She read books aloud outside Olivia's door, left small notes of encouragement under her pillow, and always listened without judgment. As the days passed, Emma's kindness began to chip away at Olivia's walls. They discovered a shared love for music, and soon Olivia was playing her mother's old piano while Emma sang softly, filling the house with warmth. James began to notice how the house had changed. Laughter echoed in the hallways again. He found himself lingering by the doorway, watching Emma and Olivia lost in their music, feeling a tug at his heart he hadn't felt in years. Emma's presence did more than soothe Olivia's lonely heart. She brought a sense of peace James had long forgotten. But not everyone in his life approved. His sister, worried about appearances and status, warned him against getting too close to the girl who was just a nanny. Rumors began to swirl among family friends who questioned Emma's intentions. Still, James couldn't deny the way Emma's laughter filled the emptiness in his home, or the way her gentle care for his daughter healed wounds he had thought would never mend. One rainy evening, after a particularly difficult day at work, James found Emma sitting on the porch with Olivia, watching the downpour with wonder. Something in the scene, the soft comfort of the moment, broke open the longing in his heart. He realized how much he had come to rely on Emma's presence, how her quiet strength had become a balm for both him and his daughter. That night, unable to sleep, he finally admitted to himself that he had fallen in love with her. But just as he began to plan a future that included Emma, a crisis struck. Olivia fell ill with a high fever, and Emma stayed by her side through the long nights, refusing to leave even when James told her to rest. It was in those tense, fearful hours, as he watched Emma cradle his daughter and sing her to sleep, that James saw the depth of Emma's devotion. He realized it was no passing fancy or fleeting emotion, he loved her completely. The day Olivia recovered, James confessed his feelings to Emma, his voice shaking with fear of rejection. Emma, who had grown to love him quietly, was stunned but overjoyed. Yet she hesitated, worried about the family pressure and the gossip that would inevitably follow. James promised her that none of that mattered, that he would stand by her side no matter what. In that moment, under the soft glow of the early morning sun, Emma finally allowed herself to hope for a future she had never dared dream of. As the months went by, Emma and James's love blossomed in the face of every doubt and challenge. Olivia, once wary and distant, became the biggest champion of their union, proudly introducing Emma to everyone as the best thing that ever happened to us. In a small ceremony surrounded by a few loyal friends and family, they declared their love for one another. Emma, once a poor orphan girl with no family, found herself surrounded by warmth, laughter, and love she had never known was possible. And James, who had almost given up on love, found it in the most unexpected way, through the gentle heart of the nanny who saved his family.